So I just finished reading The Day of the Triffids by John Wyndham, published in 1951, which is a post-apocalyptic science fiction novel which opens with a man waking up in a hospital bed after having just undergone eye surgery, so his entire head is bandaged up. And as he's laying there in bed, he hears the church bells ringing, signifying that it is 8 o'clock in the morning. And he starts to wonder why his nurse has not visited him for his morning bath and breakfast. Not only that, he notices that there are no traffic sounds in the street. There are no trains, no boats, no conversations happening below his window. So he decides, after some consideration and some bell ringing and no one turns up, that he's going to take off his bandages, and thankfully his vision is perfectly fine, and he ventures out into the hallways of the hospital. What he finds is that pretty much everyone else is blind. Everyone in the world is blind except from him and a number of other people. And it turns out that while he was recovering from this surgery, there was this cosmic event where Earth supposedly passed through a kind of comet shower, and it caused these extremely bright lights in the night sky, where almost every person on Earth went out to behold this spectacle, and that resulted in them becoming blind sometime after the event. So that's one catastrophe, but there's actually another one going on in this world as well, and that is that some years ago a strange species of plant started popping up all over the world, which were these kind of 7 to 10 foot tall, depending on how close to the equator they are, walking carnivorous plants known as the Triffids, who are equipped with these long lash or whip-like appendages that they can attack people or animals with and inflict a deadly sting. After these Triffids started popping up, humanity discovered that they could farm them for their oil, which was extremely useful and became really valuable. And so our main character, Bill Mason, who wakes up in the hospital at the start of the book, was a biologist working to study the Triffids for a company that extracted and refined this oil product. And he's essentially setting out in this post-apocalyptic England, starting in London and traversing the countryside, encountering and contending with other groups of survivors, and facing off against the deadly and numerous Triffid population. So I think that Wyndham here has crafted a world and characters which have a distinct and depressing tone. And the way that he takes these two catastrophes and explores the way that they interface is really interesting. In a way, the book starts to feel a bit aimless as the characters drift from location to location, but I do think that this meandering plot does contribute somewhat to this sense of societal loss, loneliness, and this feeling of dread which builds throughout the book. Fellow British science fiction author Brian Aldiss branded this kind of story as a cosy catastrophe where humanity band together after a widespread crisis and try to carve out a comfortable existence. And he pointed to The Day of the Triffids as a prime example of this cosy catastrophe and actually called it devoid of ideas. And while I have enjoyed the work that I've read from Brian Aldiss, I do completely disagree with this sentiment. I think there are loads of really interesting ideas in The Day of the Triffids that extend beyond just the Triffids themselves and this supposed cosmic blinding event, such as this kind of thin veil that is civilization, this suppressed desire to potentially return to simplicity, and probably most importantly of all, the dangers of interfering with nature. So I really enjoyed the book overall, despite some sections which I do think were quite boring, and that is pretty much how I felt about the other John Wyndham book that I've read, which is The Midwich Cuckoos. I've liked these two so much so that I actually went and bought 2 more. So I've got the Chrysalids and Trouble with Lichen. So I'll probably be reading these 2 at some point, as well as all the other novels that John Wyndham produced. And I'll probably do some kind of ranking or overview video at some point. So that's all on the day of the Triffids, but I wanted to speak about an upcoming collaboration that I'm doing with Ira at SF Words of Wonder, which is that we're going to be sitting down and discussing Robert Silverberg's To Open the Sky. And I think we chose this book basically because it's one of the only ones that we've got sitting around on our shelves that we haven't read, and I have been really enjoying Robert Silverberg so far. So I have finished this already. I'll be recording this video with Ira this weekend, and I will make a post pointing you to that and link his channel in the description if you're not already subscribed to him, which you should be. So thank you very much, and I will see you on the next one.